Welcome back to Ignite&Scale, the podcast powered by Cambria Private Capital, where we dive into the journeys of founders, investors and operators shaping the future. Today's guest is Ashley Tott, entrepreneur, advisor and currently chairman of Car Care, where I'm also proud to be part of the advisory team. Ashley has been involved in building and scaling businesses across sectors and brings a sharp eye for value creation, execution and leadership. We're going to explore his journey, the ventures he's involved in today, and his thoughts on what founders should be focusing on as we head into 2025. Ashley, great to have you on this morning. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Mike. It's a beautiful sunny day here in Sweden and I'm feeling good. Looking forward to the session today. So thank you for having me.
Excellent. Well, let's get into it. So, take us back. What first got you into business and what have been the defining chapters of your entrepreneurial and leadership career so far?
It's a great question and it's not a question I get asked very often, actually, Mike. So this made me think a little bit here. And it's actually really interesting. When I think about what first got me interested in business, was actually when I was a kid. So I remember when I got my first computer, the ZX Spectrum in the 80s. I don't know if you remember. I mean, I'm older than I look. And I had my first computer and I loved that computer, right? So I used to do coding on it and things. And then we started to have computer games. I love computer games, right? I've always loved computer games. So I kind of thought, no one told me this. I just thought, oh my God, we should sell computer games. Let's go and sell. That's going to be the next big thing. So I did a little plan. I literally wrote a plan. I wrote a business plan. And I went to my dad because I was like 13, 14. And I said, Dad, this is the next big thing. We should sell computer games, right? We should set up a retail chain. We should do it like this. And then my dad, I almost persuaded him. And he's really conservative, not an entrepreneur or anything like that. And I almost persuaded him. And then he went, no, what are we thinking? Go and become an accountant. He said, go and become an accountant. And I went, oh, okay, you're probably right, Dad, right? So then my whole career chapter started on from there. But that was a defining moment. That was a moment when I thought this would be fun. I had some sort of passion. I had ideas. It was exciting. It was about making money. How could I buy the computer games and sell them? It was all about fun, excitement, and something that was currently happening, right? Then my dad said, no, go back to school. And then I went back into the academic world, which is about being perfect, doing things correctly, going in a straight line. I nailed my academics. I joined Andersen's. Actually, very interestingly, there was 20 of us who joined at Andersen's, and one of them is Sarah Fryer. We were both 18 together, and she's the CFO at OpenAI now.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's the kind of people I was hanging around with. So at 18, I joined Andersen's on their elite program, which was very square and very accountant-like, but also really exciting. So I got on this trajectory, straight line trajectory from Andersen's into the M&A world, into 3i, which was also a super experience. So when I joined 3i, I remember one of my first jobs was actually go and recruit a chairman to this company. I think, what's a chairman? I've no idea. So I'm like in my mid-20s, I didn't know what a chairman was. But 3i was like the university of private equity. They taught you everything. You had these amazing training courses. So basically, I was being drilled in being an owner of companies at that point. I had fantastic alumni there. I worked with people like Claude Littner, who's on The Apprentice. I don't know if you know him. He was one of my chairmen. I did the Power League deal. Wow. So Claude was really tough. I had to recruit him as a chairman. I had to negotiate his wages, if you could imagine. I remember it to this day. He gave me such a beating when I had to negotiate his chairman wages. But he did a fantastic job. So I got to work with people like him. 3i, it was an awesome learning ground. But then I reached about 30 and then I realized I'm in this amazing job. I've got, but I'm not happy. I'm not feeling that spark. I'm not feeling that feeling that I had when I was a kid, and I was reflecting on that. my wonderful wife, Johanna, who's Swedish, we just got married and we're turning 30. And she said, Ashley, let's take a time out. Let's go and travel around the world. So we did. So I walked into the 3i building and resigned, and they all looked at me and go, what are you doing? Are you crazy? How can you leave? This is the pinnacle. You know, you don't leave these jobs. And that was another defining moment. The moment where you go against your dad's advice, you go against what everyone else is telling you, you find your own like destiny. And to me, that's entrepreneurial. So my entrepreneurial instinct is to break, because I was always trying to break the system that the corporate world. I was never, it was like a costume, like a suit that didn't fit well. So we went and traveled around the world, went on expeditions in Madagascar, did some amazing thing, like being out in the bush in Madagascar. You know, that was incredible. Going to places where I hadn't seen white people before. So kind of pushing boundaries, feeling free, feeling happy, you know, doing those type of things. And then when I came back, started to get sucked back into the corporate world again. The corporate world calling. It's like what's the word I'm looking for when the sailors are on the, you know, and they're calling them into the cliffs. You know, you're calling you back. Come back into the corporate world. Come to this big wage. Come back
like a magnet.
Like a magnet. That's what I said, Mike. And I have to break the magnet. But in the end, I tried to, and then I ended up, I thought, no, I'm going to do something a bit different, but still half. So I joined Specsavers, and that was the next really instrumental point in my career, joining Specsavers. So you're working with one of the most successful entrepreneurial families in the UK, and I got to work directly with Doug and John and the family. And they was truly inspirational. It was very challenging. But then they taught me another really important thing about being visionary. Doug is very visionary, attracting the best talent around you, and also making mistakes. So Andersen's at 3i, that corporate, it's not about making mistakes, it's about doing everything perfectly, right? When I was at Specsavers, it's about doing stuff. So go, Ashley, don't sit at your desk. Go and do a deal. Go and take the business to Holland. Go and launch the business in Finland. And if you make a mistake, don't worry, we'll fix it together. We've got resources, but at least you're doing something. And that was a really fundamental point, and then after that, I was so inspired. Then I thought, now I have to start my own entrepreneurial journey. And then, so that was about 17 years doing all those things. And then I spent the last 17 years working as an entrepreneur in Sweden.
I mean, you've got an amazing background. You've got an amazing mix of kind of the pinnacle of corporate life, working with some great entrepreneurs, working with probably the most successful franchise and operation, you know, over many decades. I mean, what's keeping you busy at the moment? Clearly you could do lots of different things, but you need some focus. But I'm interested to understand what companies you're working with at the moment and what themes are you excited about where you can maximize value for those companies?
Yeah, so I'm really like working with software companies. So I'm working with Nordic software companies, and we're helping them scale up. So what we're doing here is helping, and what I'm doing there is, so I'm working with a niche. I like software. We're introducing the AI. I've got working with industrial software for industrial companies. I'm working with software in QMS. Data protection is very interesting. How you work with, you know, all the new issues coming around that. And of course, we've got car care that you and I work on together. So I like working with niche, fairly early stages. What I've ended. I also work with Almi Invest, which is kind of like what 3i originally was in the UK in Sweden. It's there to stimulate growth in private equity.
I mean, they're very smart guys as well. So no, that's great. And you touched on car care, and you know that's a business we're both excited about, and there's some real momentum building there as well. I mean, you've been involved in that pretty much from the beginning with the founder Lars. So you saw that early, and I'm interested in your view on the growth potential and what's driving traction and your chair of car. How do you see car care from your perspective?
I mean, it's one of our, I put it into context as well. At Almi, we do like 40 startups in a fund kind of thing. So car care is in our second fund. We do 40 startups. So car care is one of 40 from literally from zero, from startup, and
Yeah.
that's, I've been involved in startup.
Yeah.
And car care is one of our top cases in the fund. So I'm really excited
Yeah.
about car care, and for many reasons. One, if you start with its niche, it's kind of an
Yeah.
unloved, unsexy area that people have forgotten
Yeah.
about, like stock lead times, right? And we've
Yes.
done it,
Yes.
and Lars has really nerded up in this area and really
Yeah.
understood it from a customer perspective. How do the salespeople,
Yeah.
in the dealerships work? How do the people who are actually going to use the system think? So it's designed from a customer perspective and also about saving money for the customers. So it's
Yeah.
very much about results. So
Yes.
we've done a super job of nailing it in Sweden, and now we're starting our journey in the UK, and I'm very excited about how it's going to take off in the UK. So I have big plans for this company. Yeah.
Yeah, no, look, and they've got some fantastic customers they're working with. They're getting great results, and as you say, I think it's right place, right time for car
Yeah,
care. So
exactly.
it's exciting times ahead. I mean, given your experience, um, Ashley, I mean, you've obviously seen a lot of scale-up stories, whether they're large companies or right from the beginning. Well, what advice would you give founders right now trying to raise capital and grow efficiently? Because let's face it, we are in a tough climate, whether in the UK, whether in the Nordic markets and elsewhere. What's the specific advice you'd give founders at the moment?
This is also a really good question. And when I look back on my career, and that's why I like having a bit of length in my career, because I've seen a lot of
Yeah,
dips. So I've been through
yeah, of
quite a
course.
lot of recessions. My first one was in 91. So when you're in a
Mm,
difficult period right now, remember this, when I was at 3i, this is the best time to invest. So when things
yeah,
are tighter, it's a good time for investors to invest. So remember it in the back of your mind. But what they're going to do is just be more picky. So
yeah,
you need to but it's a good time for the invest. You have to be realistic on your valuation. So of
yeah,
course you reflect that. And then what you need to goes back to the basics. You must have some sort of niche customer problem that you're solving. You must be able to understand, and you can directly link, like car care has done, the results, the pain, the customer, the ICP. So you can really understand that. You've got some kind of AI element, that's a must. How is the AI
yeah,
affecting your business? How are you going to work with the AI? I'm very excited about that. And then the
yeah,
final thing I would say, once you've got like the brand, the business model, you're very, very clear on that. Then your relationship to the investors, I think, is very important. I think a lot of people get that wrong, because I've worked on the investor side, and you
yeah,
need to see the investors like part of your talent team. And you, like
yeah,
Doug at Specsavers, he took care of the talent really well. So he paid them really well, was very demanding. The investors are part of your talent. They're in your owner team. So treat them
yeah,
like a talent. How are you going to take care of the investors? How are the investors going to make money? How are you going to link your business plan back to them being successful? And a lot of people don't always think like that. It's a bit of them and us feeling. So I
yeah,
think treat it like part of the wider team, and then you
yeah,
take care of that team as the lead founder, and that's a
yeah,
leadership role. And this is where I'm thinking, and that actually, if I may, what I made in my notes here when I was thinking about this, I love football. Do you follow football much, Mike?
I do. I'm a
You
Liverpool
got
fan.
another team up to me, I think. But I would just like to point out the Spurs won the Europa League. I just have to say that because that's my team. But I love looking at the football analogies. So you look
Yeah,
at you look at the well-run football clubs. They'll be
yes,
well-run at owner level. They're well-run at board level, C team.
yeah,
It doesn't matter if you've got loads of money and you're Chelsea and Man U. Look what's happening at Man U with loads of money. They're starting to lose their way. So
yeah,
it's also about
yeah,
how you structure your owner team. I like the Wrexham story, so I want the Wrexham
yes,
story with the
yes,
founders. You see,
yes,
look at how they're doing it.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's great. And congratulations. That was a great win. And I did enjoy that as well,
Ah.
as a neutral. So,
Yeah, I mean, it's someone new, it's fresh. But they've been waiting a long time. But Daniel Levy, I met Daniel Levy because Claude used to be the CEO of
okay,
Spurs,
okay,
actually,
okay.
interestingly. But Daniel Levy, I feel, has been chairman for too long. He's been an owner operating as a chairman. So this
Yeah,
comes up on the Monday Night Club every week about Daniel Levy and the fact. So it's another thing how you work with your board team and how you develop those disciplines early on. That's what I'd say to founders: how you work your board team properly, how you work your owner team, and work
no,
structured with that.
that's a really good analogy, actually. And most people, when you bring it back to football, can engage in it. So that's great. I mean, final question, Ashley.
Yeah.
Just looking back at your amazing career, what are the traits or patterns you've seen in businesses that go the distance and those that don't? It's quite often on the edge either side, isn't it? Success and failure. But just given what you've done, I'd love to explore that a little bit more in terms of what is that defining factor or not between success and failure?
And I think it's being visionary. So the top people I've met are all visionary people. So the best entrepreneurs I've met are all visionary. So that, I'm not saying that's an easy thing, but maybe you can learn it as well. So some people it comes naturally. Doug was a visionary. Every day he would quote the vision, right? Elon Musk, or if you look at some of these big entrepreneurs, they have long-term plans, long-term, visionary. And then what they do is have a real passion, and they infect other people around them with that passion and vision. So that's something I try to take with me. So if we can set a vision, so when I work at ScaleX, we work with long-term owner planning. I do 20-year planning, 25-year planning. So like, you know, literally, because then anything's possible, isn't it? It's like about JFK and the moon landings. You know, we're going to go to the moon. We're not going to go to Mars, we're going to go to the moon. Yeah, so visionary, and then you attract the best people you can afford. Like we're doing at Car Care, we've got you helping us on Car Care, we've got Simon on the board. Most startups of Car Care side don't even have a board. So what we're doing is also working systematically with that talent. So bringing in talent, making mistakes. The talent tell us when we're making mistakes. We pay the talent well as best we can. We look after everyone as a team, and we're visionary and passionate. That's what I say.
Yeah, no, that's great advice. Ashley, it's been amazing. I really appreciate your time. If our listeners want to get in touch, what's the best way for them to contact you?
Best way is LinkedIn. My name is Ashley Tott, T-O-T-T. I think there's only 2 people in the world with that name, so I'm very easy to find on LinkedIn. I'm the only person in Sweden with that name, so find me on LinkedIn, connect to me, say that you heard me on Mike's podcast so I can give Mike a high five. But find me on LinkedIn, that's the best way.
That's great, and it'll all be in the show notes as well. But thanks again for your time, Ashley. That was great.
Pleasure, Mike. Lovely to be with you today. Yeah.
If you want to listen to more episodes of the podcast, we're on all good audio platforms. Our website is also www.cambriaprivatecapital.com, and you can also find myself on LinkedIn and Twitter, where we publish our weekly blogs as well. Please do get in touch if you want more information.